everyone, and welcome back to the breakdown. Today is the day, the long-awaited video of our top 5 server hosting companies in 2021. This is the in-depth one. We are jumping into it. It's a long one, as you can see, but I promise when you walk away from this, you will have a complete picture of the 5 best companies currently hosting Minecraft servers that you can choose from. We are going from the top of the list to the bottom of the list, be it the ones at the end are what we consider on the lower part of our list. The ones at the top are obviously, the ones we're talking about first, by the way, are obviously the best. That's our opinion, though, so watch the entire video. You may have a different opinion depending on what your needs are, because these do serve a bunch of different needs depending on which server host you decide to go with, right? So we're going to be going over all of that. This is narrowed down from a list of about 13 hosts that we originally looked at. So we looked at all these, made notes for all 13 hosts, considered this for this video, and then went through and said, what are our top 5 to make this list? We do have these same 5 outlined more in depth on our website. So if you want to go check that out, that is linked in the description down below. However, above that is actually links to all of these server hosts, right? Every single one of the server hosts, all 5 of them are linked in the description down below and the order they are talked about in. All of those links are affiliate links, and what that means is if you go purchase through those links, we do get a little bitty commission back for that at no additional cost to you. It's literally how we keep the lights on here, and like I said, every single one of those links is an affiliate link, so we do get something back for that. That had no influence on these rankings because, one, all 5 of these do have that, but what you don't know is not only did these 5 all have affiliate options, but of the 13 we looked at, 12 of them had publicly available affiliate programs that we could join, and then one of them we didn't reach out to, but we probably could have worked something out because we are an influencer in this space and it's not uncommon for that to happen, but they just did not meet our quality standard in general, so no reason to do that. But nevertheless, I just wanted to say all that, something we like to disclose, that we are in an affiliate partnership with all of the people on this list, and we want to provide the best service that we can to you, and in order to do that, we need to disclose that. So thank you so much for understanding, and we do appreciate your support if you do decide to go through these links. But nevertheless, let's go ahead and jump on into it. The first one on our list is Apex Minecraft Hosting. Now, a lot of people, if you've watched this channel before, know we have a long-standing relationship with Apex, and you might be like, well, this is obviously biased. Why would you put Apex at number 1 whenever, you've worked with them for years? And you're right, we've worked with Apex since 2014, but they are still the best. We've watched them improve. Apex in 2014 was much worse than they are now. That's not saying a bad thing, but I think that's saying they've improved over time, and we've seen them improve every single day, every single month. Apex is improving. How can they do better? How can they improve performance? How can they make even things like you wouldn't even think about, like their back-end panel? How can they make that less laggy, right? They want to make that super responsive. How can they do that? How can they improve their MySQL? All of this different stuff that a lot of the server hosts, I don't think about. They just set it and forget it. Apex is always looking for little ways to improve. Whether it's support, whether it's back-end stuff, it's always looking, and Apex is always looking to improve. That's something that is set in from their culture, from the top down, and it's really, really cool to see. And that's why, we've worked with Apex for the longest, but we've truly seen them improve over time. If you look at Apex even from a year ago to where Apex is now, they have some new packages, new setups, new, better performance that they didn't have in 2019 or 2020 that they have now. So it's really, really cool, and it's great to see, and that's why they're number 1 on the list, even though we've worked with them. But let's go ahead and give them the fair shakedown, just like we will everyone else on this list. So first and foremost, pricing. Apex comes in at $749 for your first month and $999 after that for a 2 GB server. For a 4 GB server, which is what you're going to be using mostly on modpacks, it's going to be $14.99 for your first month to try it. If you like it, it's going to renew at $19.99 per month after that. This pricing is about what you would expect in the industry, but we can't really see that until we move on into the rest of the video, and you'll see more and more server hosts. So anyway, we're just going to say that's good pricing. Moving on from there, server locations. This is where Apex really comes out as well, with 18 locations around the world, including 6 in North America, 5 in Europe, 2 in Asia, 2 in the Middle East, which is unique, by the way. No other server host here has any servers in the Middle East, 1 in Australia, and then 1 in South America as well. Great to see South America is being supported more and more by server hosts. But nevertheless, those are their 18 locations around the world. Apex isn't number 1 here, but they're pretty close. And on top of that, I feel like the server host that isn't number 1 kind of goes a little crazy on North America. They have a lot more in North America than you would really expect. But nevertheless, from there, let's move on to hardware. Now, one of the unique things about Apex, and we're not going to link this on here, but we will link this on our article on the website. They actually have a page on their website of the server specs at every single one of their locations, what those server specs are. It's all outlined in depth all around the world, right? And because they do have so many different locations, every location is going to have a bit different sort of server setup. The unique thing comes with a new package they just launched called the X package that I think is ahead of its time when it comes to Minecraft servers. CPU usage is becoming more and more important than RAM when hosting a server. So Apex said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to launch this X series. We're going to give it 15 gigs of RAM, which is plenty, but what's most important is we're going to give you 4 dedicated cores. Yeah, you heard that right. 4 dedicated cores on your server. That way you don't have to worry about any sort of CPU lag. You can host hundreds of players on that server without any issues, tons of plugins, tons of mods, whatever you want to do without worrying about that CPU being dragged down, which is something, again, that you have to think about more and more as time goes on. So that is one thing I do want to mention. That X series is huge. It is a big deal. It's what we actually use to host Breakdown Craft, so awesome stuff there. As far as other specs go, though, on their other servers, that is going to be a Ryzen 7 3800 most places. You do have some Intel server CPUs in there as well in the mix. So this is kind of going to depend on where you are around the world. You've got some E5 Intel CPUs as well as some Ryzen 3800Xs all across the world. For example, most of their European locations have that, as well as most of their US locations have that. So that's what you're going to be seeing at Apex. You're seeing that list on the screen right now, some of those hardware specifications, including the X series. But yeah, that's what Apex has when it comes to hardware, and their hardware disclosure, right, is the best in the industry. Nobody else has a hardware specifications page like what Apex has, and that's what we like to see. So nevertheless, moving on from hardware, what do we have when it comes to support? Well, this is another area, and really the biggest area when it comes to Minecraft servers, in my opinion, is support, and it's where Apex shines. So under 30 seconds response time after you speak with the bot. So you are going to open up Apex chat, and there's going to be a bot there, and you might go, what, a bot? What? No, I wanted a real person. Well, after you ask your question, the bot's going to try its best to help you, and if you still need a real person, you can just simply ask for it, and a real person will be there almost instantly to help you out, answer your questions, and get back to you. For example, on your screen right now, you're seeing me reach out to Apex support in a live chat format. Reaching right out. They don't know who I am. I'm on a VPN in an incognito browser. They don't know this is me, okay? I promise. And they get back to me very, very quickly. So as you can see, asking about an NodeCraft server, they say they host it, and we're good to go. Simple as that. Support is one thing that as we go through this list, you'll notice we have to actually give up on a little bit because there's just, it's sad how bad some of the support is at some of these server hosts. But nevertheless, moving on from there, let's talk about mod packs. One-click mod pack installation basically means you just click on the mod pack you want, and the server host takes care of getting all the mods on there. And then all you need to do is join it via the mod pack. So one-click installation at Apex has support for 150 mod packs currently. With RLCraft to Sky Factory to FTP, all of those mod packs are supported. There's tons more than that, but those are just kind of the overview, and there's 150 of them there. This doesn't mean they have the most, but they have quite a bit. There's also support for a few mini games like Factions, Bed Wars, things like that. We're almost done with Apex here, but next up is server management, and Apex has a custom multi-craft backend panel for their server management. It's really clean, really simple, but the biggest thing that you'll notice as you click through their multi-craft panel is the ready just in time, right? Just ready, right there and ready to go information and tutorials that are on the left-hand side. So as you go through different pages, these tutorials change, and new and more and different things will pop up there depending on what you're looking at. So if you're looking at, the main page, you're gonna have different tutorials than you would on the FTP page. On the FTP page, those tutorials on the left-hand side are gonna help you with FTP. On the main page, they're gonna help you with things like restarting your server, renaming your server, different stuff like that. That is something that no other server host have, and that's one of the reasons we like Apex so much, is because if you do have an issue, it's right there that it can be fixed with a great tutorial. They produce some of the best stuff over there, and their knowledge base, which is very, very easy to use and very, very simple, is something that no other server host really have in that simple, easy to use format with a lot of videos and a lot of help. It's just really, really good. So server management is really, really good on Apex. It's a simple multi-craft panel that's very well designed, but those tutorials really take it to the next level. Some other features you'll find at Apex is a free SQL server, free subdomain, and automated backups. Those are all pretty much standard across the industry. I don't want to go ahead and mention them here. So every other server host on this list also offers those things. But nevertheless, that is something you can find at Apex as well. So that is it. That's Apex. Moving on to number 2 on our list. That is NodeCraft. NodeCraft is a unique host. And the reason I say they're unique is they offer something that none of the other hosts on this list offer. You're going to be paying a premium for it, saying that straight up on the front end, but it might be a premium worth it to you, depending on the kind of player you are in Minecraft. So at NodeCraft, your pricing is going to be 2 GB server for $19.98 per month and a 4 GB server for $39.98 per month. But you do get 50% off your first month and a 7-day free trial. So that's pretty cool stuff. You get to really try it and then try it even after your first month to see if you like it before it renews at that full price. Now, why is that worth it? Well, we're going to talk about here later on exactly why, but first let's get through some of the other stuff. I'm trying to keep these categories in the same order. That's why we're doing this. So server locations wise, there are 12 locations at NodeCraft with 3 in North America, 4 in Europe, 1 in Asia, and 3 in Australia/New Zealand. I'm rolling those together because they're in the same location, sort of around the world. And then South America also has 1 with Brazil being supported there. After that, let's move on to hardware. Now, hardware is a bit more secret at NodeCraft. It doesn't seem like they're trying to hide it per se, but they aren't giving exact specifications. So exact specifications are a 3.8 gigahertz CPU with 32 gigabytes of memory and SSDs, backups, all that stuff. That's what you expect to see. But again, kind of shaded, not exact server specifications listed out like we see at some of the other server hosts. But that's okay. That's what they give you, so that's what I'm passing on to you here. As far as support goes, sadly, there's no 24-hour, 7-day-a-week support at NodeCraft. When this video was recorded, their support team wasn't there, right? This is on a weekend. At peak hours, their support team wasn't there. We had to reach out via a ticket. Sure, we would get a reply to that ticket, but it was sad to see that there was no 24-hour, 7-day-a-week support there. Unfortunate, but it is what it is. As far as modpacks go, NodeCraft has 124 modpack support with one-click install. That's not bad. Not the most in the industry, but also not the lowest that you'll see on this list. So somewhere right in the middle, pretty decent if you ask me. And now the reason I've kind of flown through the beginning of this and those few different points is because that's not where NodeCraft shines. Where NodeCraft shines is server management. So when you're actually buying like those 2 gigabytes or 4 gigabytes of RAM at NodeCraft, what you're buying is called a bot. What this bot does is allow you to easily switch between different game modes. So on a multi-craft based system, and NodeCraft's backend, by the way, is 100% custom coded, which is really cool. But on a multi-craft based system, you kind of are stuck a little bit more to a mod pack or a game mode, right? It's possible to switch, but it's a little more difficult. On NodeCraft, though, you can set up as many instances as you want and switch your bot between them. So, for example, if you wanted to set up a Skyblock server, and you wanted to set up a Bucket server or a Paper server, and you wanted to set up a Stoneblock server, and you wanted to set up an RLCraft server, you could do that. However, you can only have one active at the same time, but that's okay because you can easily move your bot from one server to another, to another, to another. So this is perfect for someone who wants to play multiple mod packs with your friends, right? Or who simply wants sort of a test server where you can actually have a Skyblock server, a survival server, and a faction server all running there as test servers and just switch the bot to whichever one you're working on at the time. That's a very, very unique feature, and NodeCraft is the only one who has that. And that's why they're number 2 on our list. We look for unique features, and NodeCraft has super unique features when it comes to this. Being able to switch easily between game modes, no one else has it. Whether it's mod pack or game modes, by the way, no one else has it, and that's why they're on this list. So as far as the custom backend goes, it's very cool. It can be a little, confusing or complicated at first, but once you figure it out, it's like, oh, okay, this is how this works. Cool. Once you start to see how it works, it's easy to do, and you're seeing some of it on screen right now being used. So that's pretty cool, and you can actually use that, and you'll kind of learn it probably from this video. But nevertheless, that's what you're looking at. That's what you're getting into, and it's just really, really cool. No other server offers this easy switching like NodeCraft does, or no other host offers this easy switching like NodeCraft does. So really, really cool stuff. Server management on NodeCraft is so unique because of that feature alone. Again, you do get a 7-day free trial at NodeCraft, which is something we don't see at a ton of server hosts either. That's really, really cool, allowing you to try before you buy, and they are a more premium product, so I like to see that. Moving on from NodeCraft, though, we have number 3 on our list, and that is Bifrost Hosting. If you want a budget option, this is where you probably want to go. Bifrost Hosting is our more budget option because they have 2 pricing plans. They have a budget pricing plan and a premium pricing plan. And I will say, right up front, the hardware difference between these two isn't there. There is no hardware difference between budget and premium, and that's why they're recommended as our budget host. The 2 gigabyte server is going to cost you $498 on their budget plan, and a 4 gigabyte is $1196 on their budget plan. On their premium plan, it's going to be $998 per month for a 2 gigabyte server and $1996 per month for a 4 gigabyte server. And now here's where things do change a little bit on that budget plan, and that's going to be server locations. For your locations on the budget plan, you just get Canada, you get Amsterdam, and you get France. And that's it. That's all you get for server locations. So, unfortunately, that's going to serve the Northern Hemisphere much better than the Southern Hemisphere. And if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, it's going to be a little harder to use the budget plan here, unfortunately. But still, it's a good option because it's just so affordable for the hardware that you're getting. But if you do decide to go with the premium, you do unlock 12 locations, 4 in North America, 5 in Europe, 1 in Asia, 1 in Australia, and 1 in South America. So that's really cool. The Southern Hemisphere is much better served on their premium plan, and I do like to see that. Moving on from there, though, there is actually no public hardware information available. However, it is said that they're running Intel Xenon CPUs. These are server CPUs, and it's pretty standard. However, I would like to see Ryzen. I would like to see some Intel i7s in there, but we're just not seeing it. We are not seeing it at Bifrost Hosting. But again, that's why we're recommending their budget plan here more so than that premium plan. If you're going on their premium plan, go with another server host that's going to give you better hardware, like Apex, like someone the next on our list here. However, if you want a budget plan, that's where Bifrost Hosting does come in. As far as support goes, it's actually pretty good. I opened up a live chat and got a representative after about 3 minutes. This is longer than you'll see with some of the other hosts on the list, but not the longest we have seen. You can also reach out via support ticket at any time of the day. We reached out at 1 p.m. on a Saturday, and like I said, got a response after about 3 minutes. One thing I did notice, though, is it went offline thereafter that. I was actually going to reach out and ask more about their hardware specifications, and the live chat never came back. I tried for about an hour, never came back, and I was like, all right, we got to move on here. But nevertheless, that is cool that they do have live chat support available even parts of the day, even though it wasn't available when I needed it there. We could have submitted a ticket, but that's okay. It is what it is. We just used what they had publicly information about their hardware, but it is still interesting that their live chat was there and it went away, so that is something to note. And again, they do have ticket support if you would like to reach out that way. When it comes to modpacks, though, Bifrost Hosting is the number one. They have 227 modpacks supported with one-click installation on their servers. That is by far the most we have seen. Now, there are multiple versions of some packs listed here and everything like that, but overall, this is number one on the list. By multiple versions, I mean like version 1.7 of the light and then version 1.7 of the non-light version of a mod pack. So you've got those different versions like that, but overall, there's 227 different options when it comes to just mod packs on Bifrost. So really cool stuff. That's what we like to see. A lot of different mod packs there to set up. Moving on, let's talk about server management. Now, we actually purchased a premium server here because I wanted to see if that was worth that amount that they were asking for that premium server on that hardware. And truthfully, it's really not. That's why we recommend the budget server, but their back end is incredible. I'm telling you, it is amazing. It is the best designed back end I've ever seen of a Minecraft server host. It's beautiful. It is a multi-craft panel, but they have just made it look incredible. I absolutely loved the look of Bifrost Hosting's backend. It truly does blow my mind still that their backend was that beautiful. You can see it here. It's got a dark mode, which I've never seen before. It also has some tutorials listed on the dashboard. They're not there throughout like you might see on another server host, but they are there on the dashboard if you do have any issues. They've also got a link out to their knowledge base, which was a little hard to navigate, but it is still usable and can help you work around if you do have any issues in their cPanel. Overall, though, this is just a really, really good server host, and it looks absolutely beautiful. We love it. The best designed one I've ever seen, period. Like I said, though, there, is some features that could probably be there, but it's just beautiful for a multi-craft design. So shout out to the guys at Bifrost who did that. Now, one thing we did want to mention is if you go through their setup process of they choose a server for you based on what you expect your server to be on, we ended up at a 7 gigabyte server. That's a lot. Honestly, you don't need a 7 gigabyte server usually. For the specs we entered in and what we were looking for, I would say 5 gigabytes would probably be sufficient. So yeah, that's kind of what you're looking at there. And beware if you do go through that. You can always upgrade over time. So I would recommend going on the lower end and then upgrading if you need more than jumping right into the high end on their hosting. So that is that. And that is Bifrost Hosting coming in at number 3 on our list. Coming in at number 4 is MCProHosting. This is a long-time server host that has been featured by us before. Now, one thing, we sometimes get some flack for MCProHosting. They always end up coming up on the list because they kind of almost squeak by. They're not the best server host out there, but they're decent, and a lot of people use them. And you have to realize, if a lot of people are using something, there's probably something there that's at least pretty cool. And that's what we kind of found with MCProHosting is it's pretty cool. So we're going to go ahead and feature them on our list. They offer some unique features with their backend as well as a mobile app for Android. So let's go ahead and jump on into it. First and foremost, let's talk about pricing. A 2 gigabyte server on MCProHosting will cost you $11.99 per month, with a 4 gigabyte coming in at $2.99 per month. There are some upsells for $2 to get unlimited player slots for servers under 8 gigabytes. Do not do that. Unless you are really going to get that many players, don't do it. Other than that, though, it's decent pricing. It's not the cheapest, but it's also not the most expensive we've seen on this list. Server locations, though, is number 1 for MCProHosting with 23 locations around the world. As I said, though, they do overserve North America, in my opinion. They have 11 locations in North America. 11 server locations in North America alone. It's overwhelming. Moving on from there, MCProHosting has 4 in Europe, 2 in Asia, 1 in Africa, 4 in Australia, and 1 in South America. And they're the only host on this list to have any Africa support. So great to see them having that location in South Africa to support that region of the world. From there, we move on to hardware. We reached out to their live support for this information, and they said they're on E5 2600 CPUs from Intel. These are older CPUs, right? Something that surprised us, honestly, as they are a long-standing server host, so it seems like they're using some older hardware there. But nevertheless, that is what they said via their live chat support. As long as they're not overstuffed and they're managing their CPU usage and RAM usage, it shouldn't be a problem, and I'm sure they're doing that. It would be nice to see some higher spec CPUs, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. There was no publicly listed hardware specification style page. That is what it is. But nevertheless, that's what their live chat support said. We have no reason not to believe them, considering, again, that's not the newest hardware anyway. As far as live chat support goes, it's not 24 hours a day. It is only available from 9 a.m. to 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time every single day. While this is a big chunk of the day, it is excluding that part of the night where a lot of our crashes at BreakdownCraft happen. Most of our issues actually happen between 1 a.m. and 9 a.m. Knock on wood, I don't want that to happen to us tonight, but nevertheless, you get the point. That is when most of the issues will come in. On a Minecraft server, from what I've seen, for some reason, it just happens in the middle of the night. Never happens when it's convenient. But anyway, they are available from 9 a.m. to 1 a.m. every single day. Speaking of, though, we did reach out to their live chat support, and it actually took so long that we are time-lapsing on your screen right now. We started probably a minute ago even, time-lapsing this reach out, right? There's a little timer that shows how long it has been in real time in the corner of the screen, and it took us over 10 minutes to actually get somebody from reaching out to their support to actually finding someone in the chat. That's too long, in my opinion. It should be a lot quicker than that, considering server hosts with around the same scale have actually been able to do that very, very efficiently. So anyway, we're time-lapsing that. I don't know when we're going to end it here, but it's kind of crazy. So anyway, when we did find somebody with their support, it was very, very helpful. It was really cool. And it is cool they do have live chat most of the day, but I would like to see a little bit of a quicker response time from MCProHosting. From there, let's move on to modpacks. There are 162 modpacks supported with one-click installation at MCProHosting, but you wouldn't know that until you buy your server. MCProHosting doesn't let you select a modpack during the setup or server purchase process. You have to get it and install it after. It's still one-click setup. It's still pretty easy, but you have to do it after you have purchased your server. That's something I wanted to mention because it is a little unique to this server host. We don't see that often. We actually didn't see that in any other server host. Every other server host, you can select it during the purchase process, but not at MCProHosting. Next up, let's go ahead and move on to server management. MCProHosting, they have a custom control panel, 100% custom, built from the ground up, and that allows them to have a cool Android app. Unfortunately, we can't test that app because we don't have any Android devices here. However, I do want to mention it is only for Android. I didn't know that. We didn't know that until we were pretty late in the process of testing MCProHosting, that Android app is the only app. There's no iPhone app. We tried to find it. We saw what was available on the website. No, it's only on Android. So know that before you get into this. But nevertheless, it is pretty cool that they do have that. And if you do have an iPhone, their page, like their backend, is pretty mobile friendly. However, that can cause it to be a bit large on desktop. Some of those, drop-down boxes and things like that you're seeing on your screen are pretty massive in my opinion, and that's because they're trying to scale it for mobile in addition for having it on desktop. It can also make for a pretty cluttered and overwhelming look when you first get started, but with anything, as you start to learn it, you start to learn this is where that's at, this is where this is, so on and so forth, and it starts being less overwhelming. But when you first log in there, it can be a bit overwhelming at first. One other feature I wanted to mention of MCProHosting, well, they do have the SQL server and the free custom domain and things like that. What is more important here is they have a 7-day free trial currently. This might just be a temporary thing that they're temporarily doing and testing, but as I'm recording this video, if you go to their pricing page and scroll down to the very, very bottom, there's a 7-day free trial option. Check that out. Test them for 7 days for free. Again, this may go away, but it is there right now, and it is worth something checking out. Additionally, the servers, when you went through this free trial, were actually a few bucks cheaper than when you didn't go through the free trial. So I thought that was interesting as well. So go check that out again. It's at the very, very bottom of the page on their pricing page once you get to their website. But anyway, wanted to check that out as well. You can see that information in the description down below as well as on your screen right now. So moving on from MCProHosting, we have last but not least GGServers. This is our final one on the list. And GGServers, just like Bifrost Hosting, has both a standard and a premium option. However, at GGServers, we recommend going premium because you get better hardware. More on that in a minute. However, when it comes to pricing though, their standard packages are 2 GB for $6 a month, 4 GB for $12 a month, and on premium, it's 2 GB for $12 a month, and 4 GB for $24 per month. Again, we recommend going with premium because you're going to get much better hardware. You're also going to get more server locations. So moving on to server locations, your budget plan is going to give you North America and Europe. You don't get to choose where in North America or where in Europe. I think they just kind of choose that based on what they need or where they need servers at. So you get to choose North America or Europe, and that's all you get to choose on the budget plan. However, if you go premium, you get 9 server locations, 3 in North America, 5 in Europe, 1 in Asia, and 1 in Australia. That's pretty cool to see, kind of covering the entire world there as best they can. Now, on to what I mentioned, hardware. Their standard hardware is not that great. This is really not. You're going to have an Intel Xenon E5 1630V4 at 3.7 gigahertz with 2100 megahertz DDR4 RAM. This is lower end hardware, but that's what you would expect for a lower end plan. So if you are on a budget, maybe go with this, but I would recommend, if you can, go up to that better hardware because you're going to get a lot better CPU performance out of their upgraded hardware. What is the upgraded hardware? Well, that is an Intel i7 7700K clocked at 4.2 gigahertz and 2400 megahertz DDR4 RAM. So a lot better RAM there as well. So That's what I would recommend. Go with premium because you do get better hardware, but if you don't, go ahead and go with the standard. It can be a good budget option. Next up, as always, we have support, and I was honestly surprised. They have super fast response time on their support. It did say 13 minutes when I originally clicked on it, but we got a response within a few seconds, really, and it was really, really good. 24/7 live chat support as well. They did say they had that, and they were just very helpful and knowledgeable. Asked our question, that was good. Asked them about server hardware, they were able to respond to that. Really, really cool stuff, and really, really enjoyed speaking with the support agent. So overall, awesome stuff there. Recommend their support. Probably the second best on our list when it comes to support, if I'm honest. Modpacks, though, they do fall to the back of our pack, as they only support 92 modpacks currently. That is the lowest on the list, but they seem to keep those up to date and working and tested, which is something I can't say some of these other server hosts might lack on. I don't know, but when you're hosting 200 something modpacks, can you really test them all the time? Probably not. Whereas when you're hosting 92, you can probably manage those a little more, keep them all tested. So I will say it looked like they were very professional when it came to their modpacks and took those very, very seriously, the ones that they did have. Moving on from modpacks, let's go ahead and talk about server management. Server management is obviously an important part, and at GGServers, you are going to be getting a decently designed multi-craft panel. It's pretty basic, but it looks good, and it's pretty inviting. There are a lot of cool features that kind of make things look more complicated than a standard multi-craft panel, but once you click into them, you realize, oh, this is actually making things easier. Like, it's much easier to upload a custom server, you know, like icon. It's much easier to format your message of the day. It's much easier to do some of this stuff that on other servers you would have to go into config files for. You don't actually have to do that on GGServers, making it a little user-friendly in regards to multi-craft, which is what I like to see. Last but not least, they do have a very, very intuitive checkout process. So we did go through their checkout process, obviously, and it was very, very intuitive. A lot better than a lot of the other ones on this list. So awesome there when it comes to GGServers. So nevertheless, there's our list. It was a big one. As you can tell, this first one on the list we had a lot more to say about than the last one. That's because as time goes on, you get less and less features, right? As you go down the list, you're going to get less features at a server host. So anyway, again, this is our pick of 13 different server hosts that we looked at. If you do want an in-depth article, you can check it out in the description down below, and you can check out a link to all of these server hosts in the description down below. And if you do use those links, we do get a little commission based off of that purchase. So thank you very much for doing that in advance. Again, number one on our list was Apex with great support, amazing, great hardware transparency, and overall just a great place to host your server. Number two was NodeCraft, which is perfect for the person who's switching between servers a lot. If you're going from one server to another server, want to switch game modes, want to switch mod packs, that's where NodeCraft comes in. After that, we have Bifrost Hosting, and specifically their budget option. They're a great place that if you're on a budget, that is where you want to get a server. It's going to be the cheapest on our list, and you're going to get decent hardware when you're doing it, at least the same as their standard package. From there, we had MCProHosting, who made it to our list because they have a mobile app, and they're a long-standing company in the community. People really like them, so we always like to include them because, you know, here's our thoughts basically on them. They also have the most location support out of all the servers on our list. From there, we're moving on to GGServers, which is the last on our list, but still a very good option with their premium plan having decent hardware and a pretty user-friendly backend. While there is no like ready-in-time tutorials there, it's still a decent backend and makes a lot of things a little bit easier. So nevertheless, there's our list. Thank you so much for watching. Give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Thank you for the support. My name is Nick. This has been The Breakdown, and I am out. Peace.